I call this meeting of Sylvania City Council for October 2nd, 2023 to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fry?
Here.
Mr. Hanson?
Here.
Mr. Hanem?
Mr. Hanem is excused with a medical reason.
Mr. McCann?
Here.
Mr. Richardson?
Here.
Ms. Stout? Here. Mrs. Westfall?
Mrs. Westfall is out of town and also excused. There are 5 members of council here, so a quorum does exist. We're very pleased to have so many people in the house tonight. We invite you to join us in our Pledge of Allegiance, this meeting led by Mr. Richardson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Additions to the agenda. First off, I want to explain that we do not have flock camera legislation on the agenda tonight because there are still some outstanding questions with the supplier as a result of the inquiries about a bond to remove them at the end of their useful life. We've heard that that could be a problem with this company, and we're still pursuing that with them. We hope to be back to you with legislation for a contract at our next meeting. Is that the latest, Chief?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's why we don't have that ordered legislation on tonight. I do want to schedule an executive session as the last agenda item, whatever that number turns out to be. This is for a litigation update to you. I don't expect it to take very long, but I think you need to have an update from the law director and myself. The law director will be adding the additional items for the OPWC grants for the downtown transportation improvements when we get around to her. We'll get around to her at the end. But I'm proposing to add those, Mr. Fry, under 10A. We'll just go B, C, D, and E, whatever, because they're coming out of that committee meeting, if that's all right with you. So they're going to be up in the tens. All right. Mr. Fry, any additional items?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Members of City Council? Hearing none. Mr. Sanford?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schroyer?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Chief Miller?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Aller?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, you have a lot coming on.
But I'm doing it
But
for
the
him.
law director's going to handle it for you. So, Mrs. Bryant?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to add the report, Service Director's report of October 2nd, 2023 for the OPWC grant application, Downtown Transportation Improvement Phase 1.
We'll make that 10B then, if that's all right.
Yep,
So this is the,
Service Director's report.
all right,
And then resolution number 10-2023 to establish a TIF fund and dedicate funds for the Downtown Transportation Improvement Project.
all right. That's C.
Okay. And then resolution number 15-2023 is authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file an OPWC grant application for the Downtown Transportation Improvement Phase 1 project.
Clerk is bringing those resolutions around to you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Oh, all right. Are there any questions about these, or are we ready to approve the amended agenda for tonight? If so, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended for this evening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and our amended agenda is approved. Item 4 is approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting on September the 18th. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move adoption of the meeting minutes of the council meeting of September 18th, 2023 as submitted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those September 18th meeting minutes as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and those meeting minutes are approved. We are now to agenda item 5. These are items for the Monroe Street, Main Street, Summit Street Traffic Signal Improvement Project. Mr. Aller, why don't we're gonna come back to you. You wanna stay there, or you wanna come up in front?
I come up front, I'm gonna be talking for a while.
I know you've had some time off on these, on being at that podium, but you're back. And there are a lot of OPWC things on here. Are we hurting ourselves with populating so many projects onto it?
We actually had, the projects are scoring well enough that we're, bringing everything into it. The first project that we're gonna discuss here is probably, in the committee of the whole meeting, I discussed that you get below that 90 figure, and it's kind of a roll of the dice on whether you're gonna get it or not. This project is actually one of those, but we thought if we can grab $100,000 of grant money, we'll take a shot and see if we can grab it. Not real confident on them, but, our other projects score very low, Mayor, and, so, you grab the more money that you ask for, the lower your score is. So if you can spread that grant money between several projects rather than try to gobble up everything into one project, the better chance.
And
that we can
there
get.
is no allocation per community.
No.
There's a list of scoring criteria, and it's a numerical process, and you go through that. And the City of Toledo might come in with one or two projects of $10 million each. This has happened in the past. And it's not allocated per community. It's how well the projects score.
Yep.
Okay.
The first project that we have, as the mayor indicated, is the Monroe, Main, and Summit Street traffic signal improvements. This kind of started out as an improvement to the Summit Street intersection. And then as we dug a little further into the traffic signal system that we have, that system is severely outdated, obsolete. And so we took a look at updating that stretch. Monroe and Summit now are kind of their own system right now. Ultimately, when we get all of the projects that we'll be doing over the next couple of years, the entire stretch of Monroe Street will be coordinated with each other and be able to take us from Monroe and Erie all the way into the city of Toledo. So this project helps that happen. We were taking a look at making the improvements at Summit Street anyways to add the pedestrian crossing there and everything that we talked about, probably 3 years ago, and finally getting it to this point. So the total project is $580,657. We are asking for permission to apply for a $100,000 grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission, and we just ask for approval to do so.
Okay, we do have, that's the first one on here, proposed resolution 11, 2023. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce resolution number 11, 2023 by title only. A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file an Ohio Public Works Commission grant application for the Monroe Street, Main Street, Summit Street traffic signal improvement project, and I would move passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution 11, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and resolution 11, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. Agenda item 5C, Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of that project, we are asking that we grant ourselves a right-of-way extension on the project. This is in relation to the old tire store property that we are now the owners of. And this project requires a little bit of right-of-way for, I think it's a panel, signal support, yeah. So we just asked for approval to provide that additional right-of-way.
All right, we do have a ordinance to grant that right of way, ordinance 81, 2023. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 81, 2023 by title only, accepting a warranty deed of right-of-way from the city of Sylvania relative to the Monroe Main Summit Traffic Signal Improvement Project, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to execute said documents on behalf of the city, dedicating the same for public purposes, and I would move passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's moved and seconded for passage of ordinance number 81, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and ordinance 81, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. We're now up to agenda item 5E. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is essentially the same reason that we just granted the additional right of way on our property. Traffic signal support on the northwest corner, WFZ properties. It's the Key Bank building site, the parking lot there at Summit and Monroe. We just need additional land to be able to place it to signal support. And this is in the amount of $4,035, and we recommend approval.
It's only 0.004 acres. Is the majority of this cost in legal fees, or if I put this out on a per acre cost, this is an awful lot.
You have cost of damage. It goes through the whole appraisal process, and there are many things.
It's not just this amount of land, it's what can happen to it while you're doing it.
If
Okay,
you-
I wanted that clarified. I was pretty sure that was the case.
Yeah, if the property owner loses a parking spot, we have to pay for that parking spot. There are a lot of things that go into a property appraisal for right-of-way purposes.
It's not a lot of money, it's just a small amount of property.
Agree wholeheartedly with that.
All right, we do have ordinance 82, 2023 to enter into this purchase agreement. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 82, 2023 by title only, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into a purchase agreement with WFZ Properties LLC for the Monroe Main Summit Traffic Signal Improvement Project, dedicating the same for public purposes, appropriating funds therefore in the amount of $4,035, and I move passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for passage of ordinance number 82, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And ordinance 82, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. We're ready to go to agenda item 6, but I'm going to do an aside here for the 3 students in the room. I've been going to Mr. Richardson to read these ordinances. That's because he's the chairman of our streets committee. It's typical for the committee chairman to handle their committee's business by presenting the legislation. We'll be going to a few other committee chairmen tonight, but that's why I'm automatically going to Mr. Richardson, and I'm about to do it again. We're into agenda item 6. This has to do with the Ahern Road Ravine Drive intersection project. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In 2021, council approved the service department to apply for congestion mitigation and air quality grant funds through ODOT, and we were successful with that application. We've been working with Flower Hospital and joining property owners on getting that project to move forward. The total cost of the project is $1,641,173. We have an ODOT CMAQ grant in the amount of $673,250. ProMedica has agreed to contribute $100,000 towards the project, and we will be applying for, if approved, we will be applying for $483,975 grant through OPWC. That leaves the city's contribution towards the project at $383,948. We request approval to make application to OPWC for $483,975 grant.
Mr. Mayor.
question for Mr. Eller. I mean, obviously, I welcome any grant funds that we receive. I just wasn't clear how adding a traffic signal reduces emissions. You know, that's the part I didn't understand.
We had to convince ODOT of that in that grant application as well. Wasn't sure that one was gonna work, but we were successful with it.
Okay, so I won't complain, just curious.
Initially, we also, that was submitted as a either or type thing. We had the roundabout in there as the either or, and the roundabout ended up getting, the traffic signal ended up being selected over the roundabout.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we do have proposed resolution 12, 2023, authorizing this grant application. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce resolution number 12, 2023 by title only. A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file an Ohio Public Works Commission grant application for the Haroon Road Ravine Drive intersection improvement project, and I would move passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution number 12, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and resolution 12, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. We are now up to agenda item 7. If you recall, we've been doing large diameter sanitary sewer pipelining for a couple of years, and we're on to an OWDA loan application for the third, or phase 3. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this third phase will be primarily on Main Street between 10 Mile Creek and Convent Boulevard. There are some sections that are in like the Somo project area where we're going underneath the 10 Mile Creek that we're going to line some of those sections as well. The total estimated or the total project cost actually, should council award the project to Inliner, is $1,278,846. We have already secured an OPWC grant for 29% of the project costs. That's comes to about $370,865.34. And so the remaining cost of $907,980.66 is the city's responsibility. As we've done with the first two phases, phases 1 and 2, we recommend that we finance that portion through an OWDA loan. And the current interest rate on those loans is 3.46%. 2 years ago, I think, when we came to you for approval for phase 2, it was at 1.68%, and this year we're at 3.46. So it's still pretty low, but it is going up. So we are building in our rate structure. We knew these projects were coming, and we had been building them into our rate structure, so the funds will be there for the debt repayment for the project. So we request approval to apply for the OWDA loan in the amount of $998,778.72. That includes a 10% contingency onto what's left on the actual bid amount. And that's how OWDA does it.
And Mr. Eller, as a reminder, these were anticipated projects in the pipeline, and also the sewer rates were effective in anticipation of these projects.
That's correct. Yeah, they're part of a 5-year capital improvement plan, and we make those rate increases in advance for the OPWC application so that we can show that we've made the rate increase for this project.
Thank you.
We have a lot of projects going on, and I recall that one of the projects that's going to happen is, I believe it was called a street diet along Main Street in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
How does this project tie in with that project?
This project is, we're awarding it now. We gave the contractor, he has to be completed with his work by the end of May. Yeah, by the end of May, on this work. They've already notified us that they don't plan on starting until right after the first of the year, so January, February 24. They have to be complete by May. That shouldn't be any issue with the work that's involved here. That I'm not too concerned with that portion. And then as soon as that project is done, the road construction project will be allowed to begin.
Okay.
Well, actually, there'll be about a month to a month and a half wall between the two, and then the road project will start.
Okay, and then that's set to be done by the end of 2024, while we're out to bid then for what we just discussed in the prior meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We do have proposed resolution 13, 2023 to authorize this grant application. Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only resolution number 13-2023, a resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file a loan application with the Ohio Water Development Authority for the large diameter sanitary sewer lining Phase 3 and Main Street sanitary sewer rehabilitation projects. I would move for passage as an emergency for resolution 13-2023 as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution number 13, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and resolution 13, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. We're now up to agenda item 7C. This has to do with accepting project bids. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We took bids on the project September 26th and received 5 bids. Inliner Solutions out of Columbus, Ohio was the low bid with a bid of $1,278,846. This was approximately 23.5% underneath our estimate of 1.672 million. And we have worked with Inliner Solutions. They were the contractor on phase 2 and did a very, very good job. They were very easy to work with and came up with some good suggestions on a couple of the issues that we had on that project. So we had no problem working with them again. Again, we have the OPWC project covering 29%, and we just approved applying for the WDA loan. So it is our recommendation to award the contract to Inliner Solutions in the amount of $1,278,846.
All right, we do have ordinance number 80, 2023 to do just that. Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only ordinance number 80-2023, accepting the bid of Inliner Solutions LLC and awarding the contract for the large diameter sanitary sewer lining Phase 3 and South Main Street sanitary sewer rehabilitation projects to same, authorizing the expenditure for the improvements in the amount of $1,278,846, appropriating funds therefore. I move passage of ordinance number 80-2023 as an emergency measure.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded for passage of ordinance number 80, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and ordinance 80, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. Thank you. We'll now move on to the second page of our approved agenda for this evening. We're up to agenda item 8. This is in relation with the US 23 Monroe Street Interchange Improvement Project. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a grant, OPWC grant application for the US 23 interchange project. The total estimated cost of the project is $33,001,368. I'm an engineer, but you talk 3 to 3 million, then you're taking $368. I don't know why it has to be there, but
It's very precise, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it's a very precise estimate, yeah.
But you would get a downgrade in your engineering classes if you put that number on a piece of paper, Mr. Eller, and you and I both know it. Still have to do it.
It's always interesting, but, we received several sources of ODOT funding, SDBG money, grant money, in approximately 6.5 million, CMAQ money in approximately 2.9 million, Highway Safety Improvement Program funds in approximately 9.8 million, district preservation funds, that comes straight from the District 2 office rather than the state office. They've agreed to contribute 6.4 million towards the project there, as well as their internal labor that they have 1.5 million. And then we are proposing that we apply for a $1 million grant through Ohio Public Works Commission. That leaves the city of Sylvania with about 15% of the project, or $4,973,124. We recommend that we move forward with the OPWC application in the amount of $1 million, and keep this project proceeding.
Mr. Aller, it appears that these numbers have been inflated over the last year or so, and the city's share has gone from 10 to 15%. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we were at 10, 15. Is urban paving in there? Is that?
Urban paving is in there, that's in the preservation.
So that would explain some of it.
The
Urban paving is to do Monroe Street.
Yeah, the repaving of, the urban paving program that ODOT has was planned to construct the section of Monroe Street from the interchange to, they're going all the way to Nantucket. They're going Nantucket, to Nantucket, beyond the city limits even. And what they decided to do because of the interchange project is to roll those two projects together. So some of those additional funds is the urban paving portion that originally wasn't part of the interchange project.
In the past, when we've had paving on state highways, we've had to do all the curb and catch basin work. And I see you're doing catch basin work on Monroe Street right now, on the south side, east of Corey Road.
Yep.
Do you expect other expenses as a result of our obligations in this paving project?
We're taking care of what we believe all the curb and catch basin issues are prior to the project. The urban paving estimate includes a certain amount of pavement repair where you might have pockets of bad soil or something of that nature. And it has to be a bigger repair than just simply resurfacing. If that were to go over, we may have some additional costs, but they have a pretty healthy amount in there. So I'd be surprised if we don't.
A loose end on this project council has discussed in the past, which is appearance improvements or entryway improvements coming across that gateway bridge. There's a certain amount included in the ODOT estimates, I believe, and we had a wide range of additional expenses we could undertake. What is the schedule to bring those back to city council for decision making?
We have scheduled stage 2 plan review next week. Shows my heating calendar. As I get older, the dates just fly.
These are reviews with the engineering consultant?
With the engineering consultants and ODOT themselves, and to talk through some of those issues, and then what we may need to come back to council for any decisions that need to be made on that.
All right.
So Mr. Aller, the mayor mentioned paving down to, Nantucket. Is that 25 or is that 26?
That will be 26. That will be at the tail end of the interchange project.
So you're gonna open the bridge, but Monroe Street will be shut?
It's just a repaving project. It won't be shut.
So the idea is the bridge is closed, and while that traffic is reduced, you take care of the resurfacing at that time.
So they'll be resurfacing at the same time the bridge is closed.
Yeah.
So,
So the idea is the bridge is closed, and while that traffic is reduced, you take care of the resurfacing at that time.
so they'll be resurfacing at the same time the bridge is closed. Okay, that's why I was gonna ask that question, because I'm thinking, why don't you just do it? Fair enough. That's good. Thank you.
All right. Other questions for the service director? We do have resolution 14, 2023 to authorize this OPWC grant application. I don't ever remember having this many applications and this dollar volume either. I'm still contemplating that in my mind, what the other mayors are gonna talk to me about.
We've, in my opinion, we're lucky. It's very difficult. A lot of communities, once you get beyond your number one project that you identify
It's a
every year
bonus.
gets 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Most people should get at least one project because it's pretty easy to score well. The projects that we have, the interchange where we have so many other people, so much of other people's money involved, is a help. The ARPA funding is a help on Main Street. The Haroon Ravine with having flowers involvement, and the ODOT money, that helps us. We just have, right now, we have very good scoring projects that we're able to take advantage of. We've had other years where we've done one application because we didn't have the good projects to get money. Not that they weren't good projects, they just didn't get scored well.
Every community should be able to get one project, but every community doesn't get one project. I used to sit on this board, I've delegated it to you, but it's competitive, but not everybody competes. Okay. We do have resolution 14, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce resolution number 14, 2023 by title only. A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file an Ohio Public Works Commission grant application for the improvement project, and I would move passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution number 14, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and resolution 14, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. Mr. Eller, this really is your meeting. We're up to another item, which is the stormwater management plan. This is agenda item 9. Please give us your update on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The general construction permit that was done through Ohio EPA was updated in 2021. As part of that general construction permit, every small sewer municipal separate storm sewer system, or MS4 system, is required to update their stormwater management plan. In EPA's infinite wisdom, they changed the format. When we did this in 2016, they wanted us to do everything in ordinance format and put it into codified ordinances and things of that nature. So we did that. But this permit, they reversed everything out and wanted things in more of a, I call it report format, and it would not work. I wouldn't say it would work. It didn't align with the ordinance format. So what we've done is put the stormwater management plan together, put it before you for approval, and then each time this has to be updated with the construction general permit, which occurs every 5 years. Then we'll just bring it back to council for approval, and that will be the approved stormwater management plan on file with the clerk, and of course we'll have it in the service office because we deal with it every day. What this identified, the construction general permit basically indicates, they've indicated 6 minimum control measures that are in the letter there. Public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management and new development and redevelopment, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping in municipal operations. All of those minimum control measures need to be addressed in the stormwater management plan and how you're going to handle those duties. To give you an easy example, if you get your calendar, you will see 4 messages on that calendar every year stormwater message. Maybe pick up your poo, and talking about picking up your dog waste as you're walking. It may be about fertilizer control on your lawns. Those 4 statements get us a credit that we meet our minimum control measure number 1 by putting that on the calendar.
And you're referring to our community calendar,
Community calendar, yes.
the city calendar,
So
that we send out to every address in the city.
those are the kinds of things that we do. This plan says what we're going to do, and then we file an annual report every year that says, yes, we did what we said we were going to do, here's what we did. But because the grant was renewed, we have to update the plan.
And we're doing this by ordinance tonight.
But approval of this, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Aller, has this been audited by, has this ever come back from them? Have we
I think
faced an audit?
5 or 6 years ago, I think they came in and did a study on our good housekeeping program. That's the only thing I can remember,
And we do it by the criteria of what they give us.
yes.
So Mr. Aller, you said, so we're adopting this plan if we pass this ordinance, correct? But currently, the plan is in the codified ordinances, so we're stripping it out of the codified ordinances, or am I missing something?
We're renewing it.
No, it's not in there currently. We're just adopting this plan. In 2016, it was done the same way. We had just adopted this plan.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
it doesn't matter to me, I just, just, because I didn't see it being stripped out based on the
right,
legislation.
it's
Okay.
not, because,
We're updating it.
yep,
That's great.
yep.
Update.
All right, we do have,
Mr. Mayor, I do have
Oh,
one
I'm sorry.
question as well. Mr. Eller, there's a section here, public involvement and participation, and it mentions holding a public meeting, 1 per permit period. Are we doing that currently?
We did.
We did, okay.
We haven't held a public meeting for this permit. We'll need to do so prior to March of 2026.
Okay, so it's just 1 within every 5 years?
Right,
Gotcha,
correct.
okay. Thank you.
And I'll look forward to working with you on getting that scheduled.
Yes. It's as you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of attendance at.
No. Maybe.
all right, we do have ordinance 83, 2023 to adopt this stormwater management plan. Mr. McCann, and Mr. McCann is the chairman of our Utilities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only ordinance number 83-2023, adopting a stormwater management plan for the city of Sylvania, Ohio, authorizing the Director of Public Service to submit the plan to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. I move for passage of ordinance number 83-2023 as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of ordinance number 83, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and ordinance 83, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. Thank you. This brings us up to agenda item 10, committee reports. 10A is the report of the committee of the whole meeting held this evening at 6:30 in these council chambers. Go to the president of city council for a report. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The committee of the whole met this evening, myself, Mr. Hanson, Mr. McCann, Ms. Stow, and Mr. Richardson in attendance, along with other members of the administrative staff, Mayor Stow, Mr. Aller, Mr. Schroyer, Mr. Sanford, Chief Miller, Mr. Shaw, Ms. Bigelow, and Ms. Brining were also in attendance. Virtually all the meeting, Mr. Aller was going through a couple of different options for the downtown transportation improvement project. So we had lots of discussion about the costs of that, having 1 or 2 phases. under a single phase. If we were gonna do that, the construction would happen in 2025, but in that scenario, we were not able to bury the underground utility lines, Toledo Edison, Buckeye Cable and the like. And Mr. Aller explained the incremental cost of burying the utility lines would be about $1.2 million. We were able to get some more grant funding, so that offsets that to some extent. So there was lots of conversation about alternatives and structure attached to that. However, if you do the burying of the underground lines, to get the utilities to do that and get that accomplished, that would have to be done in 2025. So the first block would be done in phase one. So that would be basically Monroe Street to Maplewood. That downtown section would be finished in 25. Underground burial of the utilities in 25 as well. And then in 26, we would go to the second block. So while significantly more money, about $1 million more, the net result of that is that members of council, after discussion, decided that was the better approach, just based on the fact that burying the utility lines, and it's a once in 40-year opportunity. Last time we did this was over 40 years ago, looking into downtown footprint. So we decided to move forward. After discussion, Mr. McCann made a motion, Mr. Hanson seconded the motion to ask the administrative staff to proceed with a two-phase project and ask the utilities to bury the underground lines. Motion carried 5-0. No further discussion or items to come before the committee of the whole. So Ms. Stowe and Mr. Richardson motioned and seconded, and we adjourned at 7:27.
As a result of that committee of the whole report, I am requesting a motion from City Council making that direction to the administration official.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor, to ask administrative staff to move forward with a two-phase project for construction in 2025 and 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct the city administration to move forward with that two-year phased plan. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As a result of that direction, we do have a couple of resolutions to take care of tonight for a formation of a TIP fund and another OPWC application. But first, a report from the service director, Mr. Aller.
Per council's direction and wishes on the two-phase approach and getting the existing aerial utilities buried, we are prepared to move forward with phase one of the project to include the TIF funds. The phase one, actually the way we split the funding up, the TIF funds will be used in the second phase of the project. We're using the ARPA funds or the SLF-RF funds in phase one, and then utilizing the benefit of the TIF funds in the second phase to be able to obtain that additional points in the phase two and be able to get the additional money. So in this phase, the total estimated project cost is $2,922,393. We do have the ARPA money or the state and local fiscal recovery funds money, $2,030,923. And we are recommending that we apply for a $599,229 grant, which will leave the city with a approximately 10% of the project cost at $292,241. So we do request approval to make application for the OPWC funds in the amount of $599,221, as well as committing the TIF funds for the first 10 years towards that downtown project, which will be utilized for the phase two application.
And that $2,922,393 is exactly the number that you showed on your option 2 phased plan presentation during the committee of the whole. That's where that number came from. All right, we do have resolution number 10, 2023, to authorize the formation of that and dedicate funds for the downtown transportation improvement plan. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce resolution number 10, 2023. All members having received copies, I will read by title only. A resolution authorizing and establishing a new fund known as the Tax Increment Financing TIF Fund within the financial records of the city of Sylvania, dedicating funds for the downtown transportation improvement project. I move passage of resolution 10, 2023 as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution 10, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and resolution 10, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. We are also going to make yet another OPWC application as a result of this decision. Mr. Aller.
I believe I've provided all of the information for the ordinance, unless there's any other questions.
$599,229.
That's correct.
Okay. Resolution 15, 2023. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce resolution number 15, 2023. All members having received copies, I will read by title only. A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to file an Ohio Public Works Commission grant application for the downtown transportation improvement phase 1 project. I move passage of resolution 15, 2023 as an emergency measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for passage of resolution number 15, 2023 as an emergency measure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and resolution 15, 2023 is enacted as an emergency measure. Mr. Alley, you may sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That is a lot of business tonight. I appreciate council's direction and movement with these projects. Are there any other committee reports to be made at this time, or additional committee referrals? Hearing none, that brings us to agenda item 12, which was the added agenda item for an executive session to discuss litigation. Let's have the motion to go into committee of the whole executive session, and then I propose a brief recess. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to go into committee of the whole executive session. I need the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. McCann?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0, so we will be going into executive session. To do that, I have to ask all of you to leave. We're going to take a brief recess to do that. I do not expect any action to be taken by City Council during this executive session, but when we come back out into open session, I will report probably that we just had an update of litigation, no action was taken by council, and then adjourn City Council. So if you want to stay, you can stay out in the lobby, but I just told you what's going to happen. Thank you all for attending, and we're taking a break. Right, City Council has returned from Committee of the Whole executive session. During the executive session, only ongoing litigation was discussed on an informational basis. No action was taken by City Council during the executive session, and no action is contemplated as a result of what was discussed in executive session. With that, we're at the end of our agenda, and I would like a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and this council stands adjourned until our next regularly scheduled meeting 2 weeks from tonight on Monday, October the 16th at 7:30 PM. Thank you.